Alright folks, what is up? This is One Big Bug and I'm coming at you with Euro Truck Simulator 2. And I bet you thought I had forgotten the last video. No, as you've probably already watched, I did upload it. What happened is that I started rendering it too late in the evening. I got too tired, I couldn't stay up. So I figured I'll render it overnight and then I'll upload it when my dog inevitably wakes me up in the morning to take him to go outside. And then I'll go back to sleep while it's uploading and it'll be done. Well, my dog did wake me up, but I was still extremely tired and I couldn't come over to upload it. I had forgotten. And so you're getting a double upload today. So that's yesterday's video, which was all kinds of screwed up, and today's video. So, we were looking at job, and as much fun as it would look like to take this, because that is an awesome looking trailer at 27 tons, we are going to take the Paladin instead, because it's more money. It does not include a fee, and this should be about three trips is what I'm looking at. So we're going to take the big artillery gun, basically. So we got a new chassis with our mid-lift chassis, which we got last video, and we added the orbitals and a couple other little things, I guess. I'm probably not going to get a skin for the truck for a while, but I will get one eventually. I'd like to get the cabin if I'm going to get the skin. Pardon me. Not exactly sure why I'm yawning. Let me try and drive from inside the truck. Oh. Always forget the parking brakes on. Lights. So, if things prove too unstable, then I'm going to put the mid wheels down. But for now, I'm going to keep the mid wheels up, because I'm looking for over 25 tons, and the Paladin surprisingly isn't, which I'm pretty sure the artillery mobile artillery platform there, the Paladin, is heavier than 23 tons. I really believe it is, but I could be wrong, I suppose. But I'm definitely enjoying the new chassis. I mean, I can feel the difference while driving. It's not nearly as squirrely. I'm enjoying that stability. Forgetting to put my mirror up there. Oh well. Sadly, we're going to have somewhat of a nighttime drive, although it's almost 4 in the morning, so most of our driving will be done during the day today, which is nice. I always prefer driving when it's daylight out in the game. Oops. I should have known. We're at the middle of the day. I'd have never gotten away with that. Yes, I should have known that the big unwieldy trailer is in one of the most difficult places to get in and out of with a big unwieldy trailer. Oh well. And it's not even on the outside. Lovely. Which means getting it out of here is going to be just as fun. Alright. Let's do this. Getting it around the other trailer is not too bad because it's not super long. Getting it out of here, that could be a different story. because it could just not like this hump here and scrape down and hang me up, which would really suck. Could just get hooked. At least we want to go to the right here, which is actually somewhat easier than going to the left. Alright, we're out. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Be down in a second. Oh, careful on the corners. This is a long trailer. I botched this. I've been hauling too many short trailers now. Really? Well, I wouldn't be the first truck driver to make this kind of mistake. I mean, it's not a super long trailer. There are trailers out there longer than this Paladin, but it is still a long trailer compared to the average box trailer that we've been hauling for quite some time now, if I'm to be honest. So, you can already see the sky lightening behind us, the sun coming up. So we're going to have some good daytime driving. Oh, I should have my orbitals on because I am hauling an oversized load. And a military load at that. Okay, I want to be in this lane. God, I'm an idiot. I'm so used to hauling smaller, lighter trailers that I'm screwing this up. Okay, no more, no more. We've hauled plenty of big trailers. We can do this without screwing up. God, what's wrong with me today? Maybe I'm just too distracted. I've been distracted the last couple days. Nothing bad. No bad distractions. Just good distractions. Like my wife's medical machine showed up today. That's going to help close the wound on her foot over time. So that's exciting. I'm doing really good in Eve financially this week. With one more lucky strike, I could be sending the most stuff I've ever sent out to get sold in terms of financially that I have ever sent, which would be awesome. You know, so that's really good. And whereas I did lose an Estero and a Garmer, which is a fairly expensive loss, I had fun killing, although not nearly as profitable in terms of you know, what I took out versus what I lost later on. Still had fun taking out a few ships, a few T1 cruisers, which was nice, and getting a little bit more PvP orientated. My exploration character is not that far off from being in Stratios, which is the cruiser. And I'm going for a different type. I don't want to train up the gunnery skills on my Explo character yet, because there's a lot of support gunnery skills. Trajectory, controlled burst, trajectory analysis, controlled burst, targeting range, pinpoint shooting, rapid fire, all this kind of stuff. And I don't want to train that up yet, so I'm training a very different kind of Stratios. One that's kind of more suited for a little bit of gang warfare if it needs to. You know, it can take out frigates a little easier by completely neutralizing them. At least hopefully. But it wouldn't hurt to eventually train up the gunnery skills on my character. Or missile skills. Missile skills work as well. Yeah, coast that corner so I don't have to slow down and worry. It really did look like that most of our drive today is going to be highway, which is going to be really good in terms of efficiency. It's going to be really good in terms of efficiency. So, not quite 5:30 yet. I was looking at the game clock. Not quite 5:30, so I can't turn my headphones off quite yet. No, we gotta swap highways. That's cool. I'd rather take it a little slower than try and come jamming down here. Just because of that. I thought that may happen, and it could have been a lot worse had I stayed up to speed. So, a little risky, but we did okay with it. And the weight that we're towing should be no problem. Should be no problem at all. I wish I could remove the drive that all of this stuff is on, but in order to do that I'd have to roll back the whole computer system. I may work on moving them back to the C drive, and then what I'll do then is move them to the faster, maybe F drive. I think my F drive is a standard full speed drive, but yeah, whatever. Right, we're up to cruising speed. Headlights are off, half hour late, but whatever. You know, sometimes I wonder about, like, all the struggling in the world in terms of equality, and I wonder if people are pointed in the right direction sometimes. You know, that's not to say that there's not sexism out there. That's not to say that there's not racism out there. But it's not as massive a glaring problem as it used to be originally. But it's still treated like it is. You know, and that's difficult for anybody. But, like, well, here's an example. I was talking to my wife earlier. I read an article where a group of women had gotten together and got a shelter, a shelter that was strictly for men, shut down because it was discriminating and not allowing women. Now, excuse me, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of shelters out there exclusively for women. And the first argument I know that most people are going to come up with is, well, that's for women that are battered. Okay, yes, that is true. But you don't think men are abused in a relationship? Whereas women are probably more often abused in relationships, there are relationships out there where the man is the one that does get abused. Woohoo. Yeah, see, it looks like I go this way. You know, but these women protested and took it to court and all of that stuff. And the shelter was eventually shut down. because of it. And it was like, why? What's wrong with a shelter that has only men? Nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, and people are out there. Really? People are out there fighting racism, and whereas it does exist, it's not nearly what it used to be. The things that people should be fighting against are things like greed, big businesses, big oil. Big oil has a stranglehold on the United States. The reason that we're not seeing the technological advances for electric cars and alternative fuels and whatnot that we should have been seeing a long time ago is because big oil won't let it happen. Remember when the war started and gas prices shot up through the roof, where people were paying $3, $4, $5 a gallon, and big oils were saying, oh, well, it has to be this way because of the war. It's not uncommon for gas prices to shoot up. When the war stopped, gas prices didn't come down. Oh, people threatened to blow up refineries so gas prices got driven up. Bullshit. Nothing ever happened. And then what happened? Big oil companies, they all freaking, they all report record, and I mean record profits. Record profits. So if gas is so expensive, if oil is so expensive to buy by the barrel, why are you making more money than you ever made? Doesn't make sense. You know, things like that don't add up. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, and that's not what I'm going on. I just believe that a lot of big businesses, you know, of course, they're only looking out for themselves, and everybody else suffers because of it. We should have alternative fuel sources. You know, people, oh, ethanol damages your engine. No, it doesn't. People been running their cars off ethanol for years and not had a single solitary freaking problem. Older cars will suffer, you know, antiques and whatnot, but you can get around that. It just doesn't make sense. You know, it's like saying biodiesel hurts a diesel engine. No, it doesn't. What biodiesel does hurt, oh, stop with the laggy frames already. You're loaded. What biodiesel does hurt is it hurts the rubber tubing in a standard diesel engine. It will eventually corrode it out. Okay. You need to have synthetic lines, I believe they call them. You know, special gas lines to handle the biodiesel. You know, once that happens, you can run biodiesel all day, all week, all year for the life of the vehicle, and it will never hurt anything. There's no reason for us to still be relying on fossil fuels. And rather than deal with alternative sources of fuel, what does big oil want to do because it's running out? Dig deeper offshore. Dig in areas that are made to be preserved. There's oil under there. So what? We shouldn't be using it at this point anyways. It just, I don't know, it just irks me. I'm not exactly an environmentalist, although I would like to see things be more environmental friendly, and I would like to see a lot of certain animals protected better than they are. You know, I've always loved whales, and I hate the fact that Japan gets away with whaling based on the very thin and obvious covering lie of scientific research. Really, you need to kill what, several hundred whales for scientific research? Bull. You know, I don't know how else to explain it. Hey! Oh. Again, forgot what I was hauling. And I got myself hooked up on the, guardrail. I got into what I was talking about, forgot to pay attention to where I was. As happens sometimes. This is why I like to drive in the mid lane as opposed to the inner or outer lane. I don't know, we've got corrupted governments. Hell, I was thinking earlier, you want to raise the minimum wage, you got to fight basically a war. You know, you got to fight a war versus these multi-million-dollar companies who are saying, well, it's going to hurt our profit margin. Your greed is hurting the economy. Now, I'll grant that raising the minimum wage can hurt small businesses. But the reality is that people have got to survive and live. The price of everything continues to go up. You know, inflation is insanity, really. It really is. I mean, the definition of insanity, if you ask me, is inflation. Because think about it. Prices of stuff go up and become more expensive, so you raise the minimum wage. So that, you know, people can afford to continue living in poverty, basically. Without actually going, like, homeless. And then things get more expensive, raise minimum wage. Things get more expensive, raise minimum wage. Definition of insanity. And all that fun stuff. So, you know, a lot of big companies fight against this. And it's like, okay, your big company, your higher-ups, your CEOs and all that are making millions and millions and millions and billions and whatever of dollars, and you're blaming the little guy for trying to make it from paycheck for hurting the economy? It's unreal. I'm sorry, a lot of things, Japan does a lot of things wrong, as I just talked about with like the whole whaling industry and whatnot, and that, you know, they're whaling under the pretense of scientific experimentation, which I believe is bullshit. But you can also take a lot of stuff and learn from them in terms of business practices from some of their companies, not all of them, and, you know, gaming companies in particular. When Nintendo became unprofitable and they were having big problems with the Wii and the Wii U and the Game Boy, what happened? Did they fire as many underlings? Did they cut thousands upon thousands of jobs to make things, you know, to stabilize things, to make them better? No. The CEOs, the higher-ups, they took pay cuts. They took pay cuts in order to make up for things, and then they worked to make Nintendo profitable again, which they did. It's not the first time Nintendo has struggled, and it came back by doing the things that it should do. The higher-ups, the CEOs, the men with ideas, that run the company, are supposed to make it profitable. They took responsibility for what happened rather than cutting thousands of underling jobs. You know, and take Sony, for instance. Sony had this whole controversy surrounding their H1Z1, whatever the hell, survival. I mean, I honestly don't care about it. To me, it's another DayZ, WarZ, Rust, whatever the heck, survival game, and it's just not up my alley. So, but they had this whole controversy with the pay for the care packages, and the care packages get dropped in the general vicinity, and anyone can grab them, and the money that you spent you may not even benefit from, and it's pay to win, and a lot of people had a huge fucking outcry about it, right? So, what happened? Well, it was pretty simple, really, wasn't it? Sony did what it should do. Sony went out there and said, well, we apologize for this and how you feel and the controversy and how things could be mistaken. And they turned around and said, so to make up for this, anybody who wants a refund, anybody at all who wants a refund, can get a refund, no questions asked. How do you argue that? You don't. They did the right thing. And it's the main reason why Sony fans are as loyal as they are. You know? It's the main reason why Sony fans are so loyal, because of things like that. You know, Sony has always pushed to do the right thing. When Sony got hacked, you know, they didn't give away one free game or, you know, a little bit of free time. Well, no, they gave you the choice of 4 free games. And even though they were older games, they were still really good games. And you got your choice of 2 out of 4. How do you argue that? You don't. You can't. It was a really good move on Sony's part. You know, there are some really good companies out there, and they do some good things. But that's not to say that they do everything right. I don't know what goes on behind the doors, but I'm just tired of the really big, main, obvious ones like Big Oil and even car companies and whatnot. It's like, you get tired of it after a while, you know? You really get tired of it after a while. You get tired of seeing it. You get tired of dealing with it. And the sad thing is there's not a lot I can do about it. You know, doesn't matter, because anything that happens, anyone that rises, anything that gets pointed in their direction, it's not going to matter. When the oil prices shot through the roof, people screamed for blood. They wanted investigations, and they wanted this, and they wanted that. And even though big oil companies, oh, you know, we're all separate companies, we're all separate entities, they were represented under one lawyer. How did I know you were going to do that? You know, and eventually, and what happened in the end? Nothing. Well, not nothing. What happened is what normally happens in the end. And it's the same thing a lot of big companies that have monopolies do. They just wait it out. They just wait it out. You know what I'm saying? YouTube, every time YouTube makes changes that in truth most people hate, most people tell YouTube we don't want it, we don't like it, but YouTube comes along and says, oh, well, according to our studies and everything that we implemented, most people like and enjoy it. Well, if most people like and enjoy it, then why are you getting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 posts a day saying we hate it, change it back? The reality is what are you going to do? Right now, there's nothing you can do because YouTube is it. There's other channels out there like Daily Motion, but they're not anywhere near as big as YouTube and the partnerships and everything that come along with it. So you do nothing. You can't. You can rage, you can scream, holler, bitch, whine, moan about it, But in the end, YouTube's just going to wait, and eventually everything will settle down. Everyone gets used to it. Eventually, grudgingly even accepts it. And then they just, eventually all go back to doing what they were doing, and that's it. That's the end of everything. And that's how aggravating it really is sometimes. Oh dear God, stop. Stop with the loading already. That was a bad one. That was really bad. I gotta update this stuff, really. It's the same with big oil. Prices drove way up. People called for blood. People wanted stuff done. People were like, where you don't want it this way. We want investigations. We want things fixed. We want gas prices back down. Big oil just bided its time, waited, stalled, bided its time, waited, stalled. And eventually everything got swept under the rug, and everyone just settled down and accepted paying $3, $4, $5 a gallon. When our big companies and major banks fail, what happens? The government bails them out, and every little guy, every little Tom, Dick, and Harry out there that got screwed over by the economy crash and all that, got screwed over while all the big stuff was saved. And where was it? It was it Iceland? I think maybe Greenland. I don't know. It was one of them. One smaller country where kind of the same thing happened. Major banks and companies were failing. So what did the government do? It allowed the major companies and banks to fail and bailed out the little man, and the country is now more prosperous than it's ever been. God, that's annoying. I don't know why it's doing that today. It's usually not this bad. Last couple days it has been. No, I believe it was Iceland, even though you barely heard a whisper of it. It may have been Iceland, where corruption was found out in big cities and governments, and what ended up happening is the government actually ended up getting entirely overthrown, and a new government appointed by the general population took over and wrote a new constitution, making the practices that had put the country in its predicament illegal. You didn't hear much about that, because God help if you did. The fact that something may happen around here. Not that I actually think it could. I know I'm really going off the wall today in terms of what I'm talking about, but it's just how I feel, I don't have as much patriotism as I used to when I was younger. I'm quite cynical about the United States and the government and business practices and whatnot. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have another rest stop in time. Well, I don't think it's going to matter. Yeah, there's a gas station out there. That's probably going to be where we're going to rest. Alright, back to cruising speed. Nice. I should really get off it all right now. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's just venting. I have no idea. It's just stuff I think about from time to time. Just wish could be different. Because there's no need for things to be the way they are. There really isn't. You know, even this whole thing that they announced that there needs to be a war on hacking. Yeah, you want to know why? Because they're afraid of what hackers may do and eventually get into and find out, probably. I mean, that's what I really feel like, is that they're afraid of, you know, hackers hacking into government computers and finding out things that we shouldn't know. Yes, I do believe our government keeps secrets from us. Yes, I do believe that we're not told everything for one reason or another. Yes, I believe our government is very corrupt. That's not saying all of them are, or everyone is. But I rarely believe anything any major company or business or the government says anymore. Something buzzing around the back of my leg. It's bugging the hell out of me. We're really making time on this run, despite the couple little screw-ups. We're really making time here. It's not our rest stop, but no, that's just a little town. Our rest stop's further up. Man, look at that! Look at that streamlined trailer with the side panels down by the wheels. I wonder if that really works that well. Maybe. I'm half tempted to take some of the traffic mods out, because I have a feeling that's what's causing a lot of the little load lags, is it's loading in cars from the traffic mod. I almost want to pull like the car mods out and just leave in the truck ones. I don't know. There's our rest area. As a matter of fact, I could be comfortable enough pulling behind these guys and following them the rest of the way. It wouldn't hurt to fuel up here either. It really wouldn't. Maybe I can even do a little driving on the outside of the truck. A little squirrely, but it's alright. It's alright go on the grass a little bit here, as we are trying to protect the trailer. So our next part of driving will be a fair nighttime one. I'm sorry for all the camera movement. I just want to try and do this on the outside. Little too far. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look. We're in the spot completely with a big trailer. Sweet. That is sweet. That is truly, truly sweet right there. I gotta get a free move camera so I can move around the truck better when I choose to. But that looks really nice like that. Just for shits and giggles here. Drop the tire. Don't look right, does it? Doesn't look like it came down far enough. That's alright, we'll pick it back up. There we go. That's good. Alright. Let's rest. Not what I meant to do. So yeah, we made a lot of distance today, despite a few minor mess-ups and loading lag that I haven't experienced before, and that really seems to be becoming a problem for some reason. But like I said, otherwise, we're actually doing pretty damn good. It is feasible, with the amount of distance that we made today, it is very feasible that we could end this run on the next episode, which I think would be really cool if we could do that. I think it'd be really cool if we could end this run on the next episode, but only tomorrow will tell. Until then, I hope you've enjoyed watching this as much as I've enjoyed bringing it you. And again, I apologize if my rantings and ravings seem either crazy, lunatic, or maybe they displeased you. It's not something I do very often, talk about governments and businesses and all that, because they tend to be a touchy subject with a lot of people. So as you know, they're not the norm for me. It's just something that was coming out today. We shall probably return back to the normal ramblings and meanderings of my talkings on the next episode. But until then, this is going to be one big bugger. I'm going to be signing out. I'll see you then.